Good morning, Year 4. Our English lesson today, we are going to do some skill and then we're going to plan for our newspaper writing for next week. So our skill is looking at using relative clauses. Okay, so let's start with a simple sentence. Matthew was playing the guitar. It's not very interesting and we want to add some extra information. So Matthew was playing the guitar. He was in his bedroom. So you can still see that this is really quite boring. So we've got two short sentences that are just dull to read. So this is when we can use a relative clause. We can drop one in the middle. So we'll take those two pieces of information and we'll wedge the second part into the middle of the sentence. So Matthew, who was in his bedroom, was playing the guitar. Okay, so you can see that your main clause, Matthew was playing the guitar, is at the beginning and the end of your sentence. And the subordinate clause, the bit that doesn't make sense by itself, who was in his bedroom, is in the middle. So the main clause would still make sense if we took out the subordinate clause, the bit in the middle, the purple bit again. Okay, it's sort of stapled into place with commas. You can also use brackets and you can also use hyphens. Okay, so if we're having a look at our two basic sentences again, we've replaced the word he with the word who. Okay, so we've made this a subordinate clause because now it doesn't make sense by itself. So we've popped that extra sentence into the middle of our sentence to say Matthew, who was in his bedroom, was playing the guitar, and it's surrounded by commas. So let's have a go ourselves. We've got some sentences here and we're going to change them to use relative clauses. So we've got apples grow on trees. They are very healthy. Okay, so we would rewrite this as apples, which are very healthy, grow on trees. Okay, so we've still got our main clause, apples grow on trees. And our second sentence, we've changed they for which. Okay, so we've made this a subordinate clause, which doesn't make sense by itself. We've popped it in the middle, stapled it in with commas, and it's become a relative clause. Let's try another one. See if you can do this one by yourself, and then we'll talk about it together. Okay then, so this one is my dog, whose fur is very curly, is called Fizz. So again, we've made our main clause and we've split it in half. So my dog is called Fizz, and we've popped our relative clause in the middle by taking our second sentence, changing our pronoun to whose, and making this a subordinate clause. Okay, one more for you to do then. Victoria became queen in 1837. Her reign was the longest in British history. Off you go. Okay, so hopefully you have put Victoria, whose reign was the longest in British history, became queen in 1837. So well done if you got this correct. So I've given you some sentences here and I want you to change them to use a relative clause dropped into the middle. Okay, so I've given you 3 sets of sentences to have a go at. And then if you do that, I want you to have a go at writing some of your own. Okay, so I want to see about 5 or 6 sentences using relative clauses, maybe that you could use into your newspaper article next week. Okay then, when you've done that, we are moving on to planning our newspaper article. So for the second half of the lesson, we're going to plan for our journalistic writing. Okay, so we've got our introduction section, paragraph 2, paragraph 3, our conclusion, and in the middle it says the quotes, any quotes I might use, and any fronted adverbials or conjunctions that I might use. Okay, so you're going to fill these boxes with ideas of what you want to put into your newspaper article. So let's have a go together. Let's have a look at paragraph 2. So we want to include in paragraph 2 more detail about who and what. Okay, so we are talking about when Charlotte has created her webs. So more detail about who and what. So we can talk about Charlotte is a common household spider. Okay, so that's a little bit more information about her. We could say that the pig was the runt of the litter. Okay, we could say that he was rescued by his owner Fern at birth. Okay, so going back to talking about how Mr. Arable wanted to kill Wilbur and referring to that. Okay, talking about what happened then. So we could say over the course of the last 2 weeks. Okay, so that's telling us how long it's been going on. That that Charlotte creates her webs through the night. And something else about what. What else could we develop about the what question? We could say the words are created using webbing. Okay. So I've added more information that I want to include in my newspaper article. Okay, so this is an example of your paragraph 2 section, and this would go here. Okay, so you now need to have a go at the other sections. We already planned for the introduction. We already thought about this over the last few days, so we can do that quite quickly. Paragraph 2 we have done together, but you can think of your own ideas. Then you've got paragraph 3 and your conclusion to finish off before thinking about that vocabulary you might use. Okay, remember to send your work in year 4 and have a lovely weekend.